Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason here today. I'm taking a look at the famous, some would say the infamous, Munchkin. Kill the monsters, steal the treasure, stab your buddy. The original game came out in 2002 for this one. It is for 3 to 6 players, highly competitive, so it's in competitive corner, in which you are playing an adventurer. You start off as a weenie little level 1 with no class, tons of puns in this one, lots of humor. Over the course of the game, you're going to be playing your cards, beating monsters, getting treasure, leveling yourself up to a big beefy level 9, and hopefully you are the first one to cross that threshold to level 10 and the win. The competitiveness here is of the take that variety, so as you are playing your cards and going for your win, all the other players around the table are going to have the chance to jump in, knife you in the back at just the right time. There is a little bit of cooperation, there's some deal making, you could work things out, especially as you level up, but for the most part, you're going to try to go for the win all on your own. Sort of. I'll get to that. I will be straight with y'all. This one has a soft spot in my heart. This is the gateway game that got me into gaming in 2002 and 3. I was an RPG guy, video gamer, a fantasy book reader. Then I run into this game and it was off to the races since then. I understand that people have their problems with this design. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break that down. I'm perfectly honest with y'all. Not everybody's going to enjoy this. So I have a whole section talking about where people have difficulty, but I also want to talk about where I like Munchkin in that second section. And then I will round it out. There's been a whole bunch of expansions. I'm going to do mini reviews of all the numbered expansions 2 through 10. As always, my sincere hope is that this gives you all the information you need in order to see if this is worth your gaming time and gaming dollar, and see if you want to dive in to Munchkin. So without further ado, let's go to the videotape and dive in. All right, so let's get this out of the way. The bad. When you post about this game or somebody asked about it, hey, I heard of this game called Munchkin, how is it? You're going to get more than a few posters that are going to come at you going, don't play that game, it's really bad. Let me explain most of what people are talking about. Okay, it really goes, in my opinion, at the beginning of the game and at the end. So I'll demonstrate the beginning first. At the beginning of the game, you are going to be dealt 4 cards out of the door deck and 4 cards out of the treasure deck. Right from the opening deal, you can see how incredibly swingy it is. So I have my player over here. They got a really lame draw. Look at that, rat on a stick, +1 bonus, which is terrible. Yuppie water, usable by elves only. I have no elf card in my hand. A bunch of monsters that I can't use whatsoever. Half-breed, I have no races in my hand. This hand is complete garbage. But then my opponent gets a super munchkin so that they are able to put the wizard and the warrior together instantly, and they have erased the elf. Oh my goodness. And they got dealt 2 of their class specific items. So they are going to start off with a honking +8, and they're going to hoard, which is more treasure, draw more cards, and deal with stuff. Oh, hey, check it out. They got 2 go up a level cards. They are at level 3, +10, feeling really good about themselves. Oh, wait, they pulled a unique item. Oh, it's big. Let's go ahead and put that aside so I can sell it. Hey, check that out. I got 1,000 gold. I'm level 4 with a +8 bonus right off the opening deal. This is obviously an extreme example, but that kind of imbalance gives you a sense for what can happen. So in a higher player game, you pretty much guaranteed that one person is going to come out with a pretty good lead. They're going to be the target. That's okay. But if you're the one that get dealt a really lame hand, it's going to take you turns and turns to get back at it, unless you have friendly players at the table that are willing to give you a break. More than a few folks are going to find that experience frustrating. And that's not even the main problem people will point out. It is mostly in the end game. So we have fast forwarded the game. Our heroes have leveled up to level 9, which is the threshold to winning, which is level 10. This character is about to face off against the insurance salesman, which has shown up. All right, it is time for the card play to descend. So, all right. So I got it is ancient now. So +10 level of monster, you're losing. So I have a potion of halitosis and a potion of idiotic bravery. I am now winning. Oh, wait a minute. You're cursed, Duck of Doom. You're gonna lose 2 levels, so you're not gonna win this battle. Oh, wait a minute, wishing ring. I'm gonna cancel that. Back and forth, back and forth. Oh, let's go ahead and polymorph that thing so that it disappears. You get the treasure, but you don't get the level. Move on. And then the next player, and the next player, and the next player. And that is going to keep happening. Now, that sounds fun. And that really is a part of the secret sauce of what makes the game cool, that kind of like, interchangeable card play, people throwing in cards. However, over the course of 9 levels, everyone is going to be piling up those type of cards that you can carry as many small items as you want. You can have a hand of enhancers and all that. basically too much of a good thing, where they take that core concept of people playing cards and explode it out. And what does that add? Time. How many times are you going to encounter people, especially in like a 5 and 6 player game? Not so much a problem with 3 and 4. You get to that 5 and 6, which the game wants you to play, then everybody is flowing in, and it's really a survival thing. So the person who wins a game of Munchkin often feels like they survived something rather than, won it or expressed any skill or anything. Or you might have the experience, for example, where you have a spousal combination. One partner is ready for victory. The other partner is sitting there level 3. They've gotten cursed and died, and all sorts of bad things have happened. And then they say, you know what? My partner can win. I'm going to throw ahead and team up with them, use a magic missile, whatever. And it's like, you're not going to win. Why are you helping them? I've had that happen countless times at the table. Very frustrating. It's actually core to the semi-cooperative experience where the game is prone to one player just getting frustrated and throwing it. They call it king making. I'll tell you right now, Munchkin does not do anything to mitigate that frustrating experience. So for these reasons, possibly more, if you ask people in forums, what do you not like about Munchkin? These are the kind of things they're going to talk about. All right, so that's a lot of bad stuff. If people don't like Munchkin, I really can't say anything because that's very legitimate stuff. However, I like Munchkin, and I'm willing to play it anytime for the following 3 reasons. Number 1, it is an accessible game. I find that gamers, especially, if you're a veteran in the game, you have like a big shelf of games and everything. I find that there's a constant overestimation of what actually is a gateway game. So I did have the experience once of showing up to a game night, expecting to, light breezy time, and then Agricola comes out. Or something that is just, okay, this is not a gateway game. This one is truly a gateway game. They are a pretty light rule set. The flow is easy. Knock on the door, you either fight it or deal with it, and then you get a treasure, and then you pass turn and on and on. And most of what you need to learn are on the card. So if people are lost, then it's like, okay, well, just read the card, do what it says. And for the most part, that'll guide newer players or casual players through the experience. Reason number 2, the motif of fantasy character creation. That's just like a really core thing. Anyone who is an RPG player, video game player, you played your Final Fantasy games, Chrono Trigger, etc. You just love fantasy, and the experience of over time building a character is really fun. And you can play with it. So it's like, all right, I got Gimli over here, a dwarf warrior with armor and a really impressive title, Orc Killer. Hey, look at that, Halfling Thief. I sound like Bilbo Baggins over here. I even have my hireling. Blow out that paradigm, add in all the silly stuff like, sandwiches and, all the things that you can put in, and you can have that character creation experience. And I just love that. This game pulls that off in that gateway experience, has that humor. I really like how the elements come together thematically, as well as the mechanism to make that happen. And finally, memorable. The swinginess is a part of that. Yeah, you're going to have bad experiences, but that enables the more memorable experiences, the higher experiences along the way. I still remember, this is about 15, 20 years ago now, where I had a player who was about to go for the win and did not want them to win. So it's like I convinced them to, for me to help them in the combat so I can share the win as well. However, I changed class of myself. I turned myself into a wizard. And the wizard has a power. They can take their entire hand, discard it, and get rid of the combat. The person that I was helping did not get the winning level, did not fight a monster, snatch their defeat from the jaws of victory. I still remember that, and that still kind of makes my friend boil whenever I mention it. Just, the fact that I was able to, put in something sneaky like that, man. Now, to be fair, that game took about 2 hours, so not everybody at that 6-player table appreciated that particular one, but I remember it, and we all have fond memories of playing this one. So as problematic as many of the design elements are, I do feel like there is enough on the other side to give this one a consideration as your gateway game. All right, this is Munchkin 2 Unnatural Acts. All the expansions I'm going to talk about, except for one exception I'll point out, have 112 cards. So for the most part, when it comes to the first expansion to a game, you're mostly going to get more stuff, not too much that blows your mind or is revolutionary, but this is basically along those lines. So you are definitely going to get more of what you got in the first game, lots of potions and one-shots and everything. I already spoke about those. More of the class-specific and race-specific items. And a little bit of humor. You got the +4 for males, +2 for females by codpiece. You're going to get a lot of that in here. And that's really what you're coming for with Munchkin 2. And what you want to look for, or at least I look for in a good expansion. It's not much new, but at least give me some wrinkles, some little interactions or things that can change up gameplay just a little bit to make things memorable. So you have something like the Lust Monster right here. You must get the aid of a character of the opposite sex. So that limits your options, or maybe somebody has a sex change card and they've been holding it off. That's kind of a humorous thing right there. You got the Fungus right here. And that interacts with a card in the first game, which is Humongous. Do not truffle with the Humongous Fungus. There's only one copy of each card, so when it comes together, it's actually pretty memorable. I've had that happen exactly twice in my 20 years of playing this game. And a card like this, Piñata! I remember this because my ex-girlfriend was a Mexican girl, and we love piñatas. And also, you beat this and everyone gets a treasure, so then you have everybody helping. That's all you want. All you want is these little moments that kind of stand out in your mind that also fold into the basic game. Munchkin 2 definitely does that. Other thing that you get in Munchkin 2 is the Orc. As a new race, we're always excited about new races and classes. Big one here is when an orc is fighting alone, they defeat a monster by more than 10, they go up an extra level. So it's nice to sneak in there towards the end and grab a win when people aren't expecting it. Next up is Munchkin 3. Same thing, 112 cards. Little things that flavor up your decks, give it both variety and also just wrinkles that you hadn't seen in the earlier expansions. This one just dots in a little bit. So you have like something like the Casting Couch, which allows you to actually be a wizard, but then you are -1 to run away while you're on a couch. Or the other ring, which is, I like a wishing ring, but more powerful. I like when they have like the base concept, which is the wishing ring from the previous game, but then you get something else. You can escape from any combat, but you lose a level, disappear. Lord of the Rings fans love that. Or the occasionally reliable amulet, which it works, but you have to roll a die. And if you miss the roll, bad things happen. That's fun. And the first instance of the hireling, I'll get to them in a later expansion. Here is what you are here for in Munchkin 3, though. Probably the most innovative in terms of race and class. So that's what you want out of your race and class, at least what I want, which is, if you are going to alter your race and your class, you want something that really changes up your gameplay, kind of gives you a play style. So, if you are a warrior, you're going to, knock in and, fight more things. If you're a wizard, you want lots of cards in your hand so you can discard. This bard, what they can do is enthrall, which is if they beat somebody else on a roll, use your loaded die, then you can force them into your combat, kind of bring them in. That's really fun. So like if you have loaded die or you want to trade for one, that's there for you. And also this gnome. In combat alone, you can play one monster from your hand as a one-shot, like an illusion that helps you. So this is so different. Usually monsters just there for wandering monsters or discards. Here you actually want bigger monsters, and you can kind of make things appear. So again, it just makes things feel really different. So I love, if I'm going to play the base game of Munchkin, I'm probably going to shuffle in, this third expansion before anything else, because I like the flavor of the new classes. Munchkin 4 is the Need for Steed. No races, no classes, but does have the single most noteworthy mechanical innovation in the expansion, which are the steeds. Here you go, Dragon Steed, Tiger Steed, Wolf Steed, and they give bonuses. So you can have them, and they can give you the bonuses and some of the little powers, but also, if you wanted to and you saw them come out of the deck, you can fight them. So maybe you already have your steed, something comes out and you can fight it, or sacrifice your steed, somehow cheese it off. So that kind of flexibility really does make a difference after you've played a couple of games. You're looking for that something that's going to add a little bit of spice to steeds. I really like them. I tend not to play games without them if I can help it. And also the hirelings, like a budget hireling over here who doesn't do anything. He's worthless. Never mind him, though. We have other hirelings that are race and class based. So they open up the race and class specific items for you, as well as let you carry extra stuff. Changes things up a significant amount. I've definitely heard players say that if they're going to add one single expansion, it's going to be 4 because of what it adds, and I can definitely understand that. And along the way, you're going to get your other little wrinkles, like I mentioned with the other expansions. So you have like Duck of Earl, Here you go, roll a die. Any die you have at the table or in your pocket. So I did have somebody take advantage of that once. They had like some funky die in their pocket. They rolled that and got the better result. Just little things like that. Need for Steed does provide a lot of bang for the buck relative to the other expansions. Munchkin 5 Deranged. Once again, 112 cards, doubles down on everything that I've talked about, nothing new here. This is where you start to get to the point where it's like, you gotta like Munchkin and you need to be playing this thing multiple times or just be a collector and be okay with it in order to keep on adding sets. Once you get to 1 to 4, you're pretty good mechanically. But there's some features over here. So you have your horse steed over here, either a steed or a footgear, kind of switches back and forth. So, still innovating these little ways mechanically, nothing that'll blow your mind, but stuff that kind of sticks out in your head. You also get a 1 new class, the Ranger. In combat, you can tame a beast and make it your steed. So that's always a little bit fun. And I'm showing you this because it may be my favorite drawing in the game. Budget steed. He doesn't like it. He doesn't want to be your steed or your hireling, but he's here anyway. Little John Kovalik touches like that make this game so worth it, or a part of the package anyway. So that is Munchkin 5 Deranged. For these next 2 expansions, we're going to influence the meta of Munchkin a little bit. So for Munchkin, we have double dungeons. So this brings together 2 previous mini expansions into a standard size expansion, double dungeon. So what this is you take a bunch of these cards. They are portal cards. Shuffle them into the main deck. Whenever you turn over one of these portal cards, do what it says. There's a little bit of a wrinkle to kind of change things up a little bit. And then you enter into another dungeon, which is going to change the meta. So this is a meta rule that applies to all of the characters at once. And then when the dungeon changes, that meta changes, and then you go on from there. And you get a lot of different permutations, really blows the cap off of the experience of the game. So you have, your militant monsters, a little bit more of a wicked dungeon. Anybody can play a monster. You don't need a wandering monster card. Dungeon of gender bending. We've definitely had fun with that. Males become females. Haha, -5. All the jokes ensue. House of Cards. Everybody has access to a giant hand of cards, no hand limit. And then if you relieve the dungeon, then you have to discard down or give it to the lowest player. And there's so many ways to mess with the meta of this thing, and very memorable. So, but buyer beware, because maybe you don't remember, or maybe this is a little bit too much rules overhead. Now the game is starting to get into that a little bit more of a Gateway Plus territory, at least for some people. So this is definitely a little bit of an asterisk on this one, depending on the group. But I've had very, very memorable games based on having the dungeon in play. Next up is Munchkin 7 Cheat with Both Hands. This is the one they're settling on. They've had a couple of different iterations of 7. This is the final one. Okay, so this expansion you're going to need if you're shuffling any other of the Munchkin expansions. So like Super Munchkin, Munchkin Bites, Munchkin Fu. I used to have all those sets, and I really appreciated having this one in here. So the conceit is, once you have all the races and classes, everything becomes exclusive. So it's hard to kind of make things interact. But with these cards, you can make them all interact. Cheat with Both Hands is a card that allows you to play different cards from different sets, or cheat like those notes about play even more cards. Woo! Third breed, 3 races, Chimera, any number of races, old edition, messes with how much you can have, Super Duper Munchkin, 3 classes. And also you have lots of level 1 monsters that come in this set specifically that change the balance a little bit more towards level 1, get you level a little bit faster, answering one of the things I mentioned before when talking about the minuses of the game. But only play with this set if you have another whole set to shuffle in here. A lot of the cards just don't make sense unless you are shuffling a lot of things. I recommend Munchkin Pathfinder, which has the same backs and the same kind of motif, but different mechanisms. But it works with all the expansions, whatever you enjoy. This is Munchkin 8 Half Horse Will Travel. We're getting back to the sets that just add to the main decks. The people like more steeds, and this deck has more steeds for you. And we also have these enhancers, I guess you can call them. They go on top of your race and your class, and they kind of alter things a little bit more. I'm not going to count these as really significant mechanical innovations, though. It's more like, hat on a hat type deal, which is almost literally what I think one of the cards calls them, hat on a hat. So it's like, it does kind of the same things as the base thing does, only on top of whatever else. So it's like, if you're doing the same things, but just like altered or a different way or supplementing, whatever, I'm not really sure if I can count that as new innovations. And here's how you can tell the game is reaching its innovation limit. So it's like, you have a new race and a new class. Lizard Guy. User once only. Items you play help the monsters count double. Okay, I mean, it doesn't change your use of items, just like, you use them more, better, I guess so. Centaur, 2 left feet. You may use 2 extra foot gear. I mean, come on. I mean, this part is fun. Leader of the herd, you may have any number of steeds in play, so that's a nice thing to supplement what the game already does. But again, it supplements what the game already does. Doesn't really iterate or twist, doesn't really provide a lot of memorable stuff. It's just more content for the game. We are definitely in the point where it's like, if you love Munchkin, they're not bad, go ahead and shuffle those in, but I wouldn't exactly call these necessary. This is Munchkin 9 Jurassic Snark. Again, nothing new under the sun here. However, I kind of like this expansion because it doubles down on the most interesting parts of the later Munchkin, which are the hirelings and the steeds. So you get plenty more hirelings, including a growing set of paleontologists. So if you get a bunch of paleontologists, you might get more powerful, and so many more different steeds. Doesn't clutter up the deck with a bunch of races and classes. And then you have items like the Big Book of Dinos and interacts with paleontologists. Cute, make your steed cute. Do some kind of mechanical innovation. So this is a set without a lot of that fluff. No attempts at new races or classes that I think adds more bloat, doubles down on the mechanisms that players have responded to the most, the hirelings and the steeds. So I think I consider this kind of a pair with 4 of the need for steeds. So kind of pair 4 and 9, and you might be good on that part of the game. Rounding out is Munchkin 10 Time Warp, the last of the numbered sets. As I record this here in 2025, for me, it's a complete skip. You got in a sense over the course of me talking about these expansions, what I look for are mechanical little tweaks like the steeds and the hirelings and whatever else they've introduced, or little card interactions, so like the humongous fungus, or ways in which the cards speak together so that in your individual games, the things act more memorable. I think of every numbered expansion like a little bit of seasoning on top of the main dish. This Time Warp adds absolutely nothing whatsoever besides more art from John Kovalik. I think that's what they said. Okay, numbered set. John Kovalik did the art. And, you get more of your puns like the sack of Rome, haha, George Washington's false teeth. There's all of the new class cards, or old class cards, but with new art. That's the only thing that you're going to get. That's a little bit different. At this point, Munchkin has a bunch of sets, like Taken for Granted or the Fowl Poultry set, sets that, add 56 cards, add new art, don't add too much to the mix, just kind of mix things up flavor-wise, not necessarily mechanically. You can add those in all the time. But for a numbered set, I guess the expectation is that it would add something to the main thing. Time Warp adds nothing, so as I said, skip for me. So with this last part of the video, let me go ahead and offer some opinions. Again, these are only my opinions. If you are going to dive into this property, what should you prioritize? Okay, so the base game is perfectly fine if you are playing this with folks who are just brand new to gaming. Maybe you have a young one who you're bringing in, or your partner and their spouse, and the spouse isn't really game. The basic game has enough, and you're not dealing with a little bit of wrinkles or complexity or whatever, just whatever's in the basic box, that will kind of get you by. In my opinion, if you want to give this to someone who wants to dive in a little bit more, let's say your partner likes it, let's say your child likes it, then I would look at including 2 and 3, shuffling all that in. In fact, when I bring this to a game night, usually have that already shuffled into 1, 2, and 3, and I'll just pick up the bag and go to that game night. If your gaming life centers around a stable group of players and the games that you have end up at the table multiple times, then I would absolutely take a look at number 4, the need for steed. The steeds are the central mechanical innovation that comes out of the expansions and adds the most, and I think that they're really fun to add in. That's basically a good wrap up if, Munchkin is just going to be a game that's yours and you don't want to enter into that kind of collector space. Once you're in the collectors, then, you can look at the other ones. So then you're looking at 9, which adds more steeds if you don't want to bother with like new races and classes, or 5 and 8. Then those 2 expansions add classes that flavor up that steed experience. 6 and 7 are kind of meta takes on the system, adding pieces to the basic structure. So 6, I really enjoy. I've had some great times with it, as I said in my explanation of it. Not necessary at all, but if you have played a bunch of Munchkin and you just want to blow things up but stay within the Munchkin system, then 6 is definitely one to look at. 7, only get that one if you are planning on getting all those expansions, all those different unique sets, and you want to mix it in and just have like a harebrained time with Munchkin, which I think is part of the draw, is shuffling in all those different classes, races, and motifs and everything, and just having a go. So in my opinion, the expansions 2 through 9 add something. You just have to know what and fit it into whatever works for your gaming life. I have to admit that 10 made me really mad. It kind of broke trust with the system. When I like a game, I will buy an expansion sight unseen because I trust that I'm getting some value in it. With 10, it added nothing except for unique art. So it got me to the point where before I wouldn't even look. I'd be like, okay, this is one of my favorite games. I'm going to buy an expansion for it if it comes in. And usually it's pretty good. But then if I buy an 11, I'll still look at it, but I'm really going to look at it going, okay, is this just more cards and more art, or am I really getting something new here? So not devastating by the least of it, because I kind of get what they're doing with the expandable line and everything, but now they've earned my skepticism with 10, and that's how I'm going to be approaching it moving forward. And that is my full 360-degree take on Munchkin. This is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop. Reminding that we'll see you at the next stop.